Premier League is beginning to sort itself out, and it's pretty clear to me, but my guess is more important on this occasion, that Liverpool, Manchester City and Arsenal will fight out the Premier League to see who is champions. Top four race is another thing altogether, but Tottenham moved into fourth place at the weekend, and we're joined now by John Giles to talk about the games, which were fascinating in many respects, as they always are. John, let's start with Manchester City. They moved top when they beat Everton on Saturday, but when Liverpool beat Burnley on Sunday, they went back to number one. They're 2 points ahead of City, but City have a match in hand. Arsenal are also 2 points behind. They've played the same number of games as City. Tottenham are a long way back. They're 5 points back. And then Aston Villa, who look like they've gone to me, are 6 points back. But the Premier League is the big thing. And John, we saw the Manchester City-Everton match. Haaland had been injured, hadn't scored for a little while. He scored a goal after 71 minutes because it was hard work, the match. It was a brilliant goal. City are favourites now, John, to win the treble again, which would be the FA Cup, the Champions League and, of course, the Premier League. What did you make of the game? Everton put up a spirited defence for, until the last 20. It was 19 minutes to go when eventually Haaland opened the scoring. And Everton had grafted hard and had one or two chances.
Well, it was a tough game, for City, because Everton were very impressive in the way they went about the match. It was tough. They were really getting stuck in. There was one or two tackles there that went. One or two of the lads could have got a red card on. But City stuck at it as they normally do. And as we know, we have got DeBruyne back in the team. We got Haaland back into the team.
Yeah.
They probably created and scored more goals than anybody else in the league. So it was a tough game for City. They came through it well and won the game well. They took the two chances they got. We got Haaland back, DeBruyne back, and that's a big plus for them. It was a tough game. There's no doubt about that. Everton gave them a game.
Yeah, and like Haaland, his first goal I thought was sensational, John. He had a split-second opportunity, and it was a half volley from, through a crowd of players. But his reactions are razor sharp, aren't they?
Oh, very good. When we see him over the last couple of years since he's gone to City, he very seldom misses a chance.
Yeah, yeah.
When he gets through, even for the second goal, it makes it look easy as if the goalkeeper's not there.
Yes.
And he can hit them like he hit the first goal. So he doesn't. There's very seldom matches that you can look back on and say, God, if he'd scored, if he'd done this, if he'd done that. Usually 99%, I'd say. Yeah. When he gets a chance, he puts it away.
Yeah, the only thing about City that troubles me a bit, if I was a City fan, is the goals against, John. They've conceded 25 goals this year, and they've been on top, as we know, for most of the games. But they are conceding goals, and because you've played at this level and you've won this particular league, and even in the Super Bowl, which I'm sure you didn't stay up to watch, defences really win leagues, it's said. And it said defences win Super Bowls. And that was very much the case in the Super Bowl. But it's very much the case with the great teams I remember. The Leeds team, the Manchester United team, the Liverpool team with Lawrenson and Hansen. And City don't appear to have that sort of bulletproof defence that I think you need. Liverpool, it has to be said, don't either, nor do Arsenal. Would you agree about the general principle?
I would, Eamon. I've always agreed on it. We came from that generation that concentrated. First of all, you had to get your defence right.
Yeah.
Now, I still believe that.
Yeah, you build from the back.
Times have changed.
Yes,
we talk about City doing what they do. They keep winning.
Yeah.
Eamon.
Yeah.
I still don't agree with it. I think you should start with your defence. But times change, everything changes. I still would say definitely should concentrate more on the defence. And they have, and you're right, they don't do that. They give up chances. But their attitude obviously is from Guardiola. Yeah, we'll do that, but we're going to keep concentrating on scoring.
Yes.
At the other end.
Yeah.
That's the way they do it. And we can say, and I can say, and you can say, don't agree with that. But they're a team that's won the treble last year.
Yeah.
Doing what they're doing. And they're still doing it this year.
Yeah, I just I want to ask you about Kevin DeBruyne in a moment. Bayer Leverkusen, who I watched their game against Bayern Munich. Munich were 2 points behind them. The game was played at Leverkusen, and Bayern Leverkusen killed them, John.
Yeah.
And they've only conceded 14 goals this year in 21 matches. But to go back to where we should be, Kevin De Bruyne, he was out for a long time with a bad hamstring. He's come back, John. Both of us, I think his temperament is a bit questionable, although he's a brilliant player and has been a brilliant player for Haaland in particular. Now, he looks leaner, and I know you think that he's had an experience of being out, an experience similar to one you had yourself when you were playing.
Yeah, I think what happens at the age that he is, Eamon. I got an injury at the age at that time, similar age, and you're playing for season after season after season, and being human, you take it for granted.
Yeah,
Eamon. You think, oh, it's okay, it's sort of. And then I got an injury, right? And it was an injury that I went to see a specialist. It was a tendon injury. One of my tendons, 3 tendons in the back of your knee, one of them came away. Didn't know what it was. Went to see the specialist, and he found out what it was. He said, one of your tendons is coming away from the back of your leg. He said, there's 3 tendons there. I said, well, what do I do? He says, well, what I'm going to do, he said, I'll cut it and stitch it onto one of the other tendons. I said, oh, that's great. Will I be able to play again? He says, I don't know. Now, this is really, really, really serious stuff, Hamish.
Yeah. And, especially for someone as dedicated as you.
Now, as it happened, he did that, and I was able to play again.
Yeah.
But I was a different player again.
A better one.
Hopefully a better player. Because I had taken it for granted that I'm going to play forever. And it doesn't happen sometimes. And I think he got that shock.
He also had a hamstring injury, a bad one, a tear. Yeah.
So, he was obviously doubtful. When you're out that long, you're doubtful whether you can play again. But also, it gives you rest to have a look at your game, have a look at yourself at that particular age. Because up to that, you take it for granted, and you probably become a little bit blasé about it, Eamon, you know. But when you get an injury like that, you're thinking, thank God for that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And it gives you hunger. It restores your hunger.
Yes, it gives you an appreciation of what you have.
Yeah.
Eamon. Like when you're playing year in, year out, year in, year out, of course you take it for granted. It's no big deal. Yeah, I'll see you next year. We'll be playing in this and that. But I think it makes you a better player. I think he's a better player. He looks fitter now.
Yep.
He's got a new way about him.
Yep.
That he's playing better, he's playing as well. And I think that injury, or an injury like that, to a player like him in that situation, actually becomes a plus rather than a minus. And I think it's a plus now for City, with him coming back now, especially with Haaland, and he supplies more for Haaland than anybody else. But it's human nature. I mean, when you have what you have, you take it for granted. I don't want to be too serious, but you take it for granted.
Of course.
When you get an injury like that, and you're like a kid coming back.
Yes.
You really, really appreciate it in a way that you did when you first started playing. Maybe more so. And I think that's what's happened to Bruyne now. Now,
of the 3 serious contenders, I'm sure you'd agree with me that Liverpool, Manchester City and Arsenal are the serious contenders.
Yes.
There's a gap to Spurs. Aston Villa have gone, actually, John. And Manchester United, well, they're not going to win the Premier League. They're going to be battling, as they are, for a place in Europe. Of the 3, most people make Manchester City favourite. I think I make them favourite myself. What do you think?
Well, I think they would be favourite, Eamon, because they did it last year.
Yeah.
They've got Haaland back again, and they stayed up there. He's been out for 6 or 7 matches.
Yeah.
And De Bruyne has been out for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, Foden is coming to be a real player.
Yeah, serious player. Yes.
You know, so I'd say they would look favourites. Now, I was very impressed with Arsenal the other day, Eamon.
Yeah, it's a remarkable 6-0 victory away to West Ham. And David Moyes is the coach of West Ham. David, I don't think, has had many 6-0 defeats at home with anybody. He's an outstanding coach, really. And he looked shell-shocked afterwards. He really, really did. It's a shocking defeat. And I wouldn't have expected Arsenal to score 6, but they did.
They did, yeah. And they did it well, and they dominated the game from the start. Did their stuff. No doubt about it. The West Ham, they killed them. The goalkeeper was a bit dodgy, Eamon.
Yes.
But Arsenal's approach, I mean, in recent weeks, when they started losing a couple of matches there a few weeks ago, I thought maybe they're out of it now. But they came back well. They
but the Liverpool win would have helped them a big time, John, their morale the previous week.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I didn't fancy them for that match, Eamon, but they won it well. So at that stage, a couple of weeks ago, I would have written them out. I'd say it was between City and Liverpool. But I think they are contenders. I think they have a good. I think they'll have a good go at it, Eamon.
Right.
Definitely. Well, Liverpool obviously will be you would say, yeah, they'll be there.
Yes.
I think it'll be, but I think Arsenal come into it a lot more now than I expected them to, say, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, City have to go to Anfield, and that'll be a hell of a game. It won't, of course, in itself decide the Premier League, but given that I think Liverpool have only lost 2 games, the Arsenal game being the second of 2 all season, and I think Manchester City have lost 3. So they don't lose many matches, and they could, either of them, go on a run that would be pretty, unstoppable. So the game they play at Anfield will be massive, won't it?
Oh yeah, it's a 6-pointer.
Yep.
At that particular stage in the season, as long as you're doing your stuff in between the big matches.
And you've been to Anfield with Leeds many times, because I can remember games that were really effectively championship deciders between 2 really great sides, and Liverpool had a great side in those days, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, we had a break from them, Eamon, in Shankly's time. They won the Cup, the League, the Cup in 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And we were coming on at that stage.
Yeah.
But they actually didn't win a trophy for about 6 seasons, Eamon, at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when we came onto it. We won the league twice and the Cup, and at that particular time.
It's worth pointing out that the Cup meant something in those days. The FA Cup, much more than it does now. Of course, it means something now.
Yeah.
But it was a big deal.
But they signed Keegan at that time, Eamon.
Yes.
For the new Liverpool.
Yeah.
They had their time. I think it was 66. They won a trophy, and they didn't win a trophy again for about 6 years, 5 or 6 years anyway. And then we came onto it. But then they got Keegan in then, and then there was a real battle between us for a few years.
Yeah.
Till, John Revy left, and then Shankly retired. Funny enough, the two of them retired at the same time.
Yeah.
And then Bob Paisley took over, and John Revy retired, and we got Brian Clough.
Yeah, that was a treat.
The idea was they got the manager from within.
Yes.
Don was doing that. Don said Don was recommending me for the job.
Yes.
At that particular time, and they turned it down.
That ruled you out.
I was in a peculiar position, Eamon. I was turned down for a job that I hadn't even applied for.
Yeah.
But that's funny enough. Revy and Don Revy and Bill Shankly retired at the same time.
And Paisley really, arguably, he built a really better side that won the Champions League, I think, 3 times. There's some fantastic players in it, Dalglish, Rush. He did a real job there, didn't he?
He did a great job, Eamon.
Yeah.
But I think Shankly felt he should have kept on. I mean, He did leave him the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Damien?
Yes.
I mean, Shankly had all those players. I mean, Paisley obviously bought players later on in that. But that particular team, Kevin Keegan really got Liverpool back on the track.
Yeah, John Toshak played up front with him. I knew John very well. Yes.
He was a good target. He had some very, very good players.
Yeah.
They really top-class players. And they went on. Well, Leeds were out of it then. Once we got Brian Clough in, we were out of it, totally out of it then.
Yeah.
And they were on their own then, Liverpool.
Yes. Yeah.
Paisley had a very, very successful time. That was but they recruited from within. And I think that was the idea that Don Reevy wanted at that particular time. But the owners, the directors, turned it down.
You shouldn't have had that.
Well, I was in a peculiar because I was in a real Irish position, Eamon. I was turned down for the job that I hadn't applied for.
Yeah, another player that was key to the Paisley success was Graham Souness. Graham was a great player, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, they had some great players. Graham was one of them.
Yeah,
but they had a few of them. Like Tommy Smith was a terrific player.
Yeah,
and then they had Alan Hansen as well. They had. Terrific, really terrific. And Graham Souness was, I'd say at that time, he was the outstanding midfield player.
Yeah.
Playing in the Premiership.
He modelled himself on you, John. Take no prisoners and never give the ball away and play great every week.
It's not a bad way to be.
I wouldn't know. Anyway, let's move on, John, to Spurs. They are fourth in the table now. I think we both admire their coach, Postecoglou, for his temperament, for the way he has his team playing. They scored in the last minute to beat Brighton 2-1. They're fourth in the table. Son has been away. They've had no luck with injuries. He's been away at the Asian Games. He's back now. And they're a really interesting side, and he's a really interesting coach, isn't he? There's a presence about him. There's a calmness about him, a confidence that seems to have, transmitted itself to the players. Players, we've been watching some of them for ages without realizing, they had the capacity to play such good, confident, positive football.
Oh, definitely, Eamon, and that's down to him. I think what the great managers do is that they know what they want. Obviously, to try to get in the players that can do what they want them to do.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's in their nature that when they're playing, have these players, that the players believe in them.
Yeah.
First of all, they don't get too complicated. And what they do is, with the players, in my opinion, when they want them to come out from the back like they're doing, I think they say to the players, just do it.
Yeah.
If you lose a goal, it's my fault.
Yes.
That's what I always found in management. Like with players, I had a player right back, he wasn't getting in the cover position. John Wilde was a centre back, wouldn't come out. And I'd say, and I'm not patting myself on the back, I don't want to, but come out, John.
Yeah.
Because the previous manager told him not to, because if you come out and you lose the ball, you're going to score a goal.
Yeah.
Right. I said, John, if you lose it, it's my fault.
Right.
Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Andy Robinson was the same. And there was no problem to it then, Eamon, because once you as a manager, if you say, do it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And if it's right, then it's right. If it's wrong, it's not going to work anyway.
Yeah.
But if you believe in what you're doing, and you say, just get on the ball. Don't worry about it. Come into it. If you lose it, it's my fault.
Yeah, no, and that appears to be what's happening at Spurs at the moment. I mean, it was an overnight transformation. Don't forget, they had, I'm sure you haven't forgotten, they had Conte before. It was an entirely different type of manager, a much more defensive-minded coach, and I think an outstanding coach. So they had ingrained in them his view of the game. So it was quite a transformation.
Oh, it's a huge transformation. Yes. Most managers won't do that.
Yeah.
Actually, most managers go the other way. Don't go out, just in case you do that. That type of thing. Now, what he's saying is special in that I don't think anybody else is doing it in the manner in which he's doing it.
Yeah. Now, incidentally, they've conceded 36 goals this year, which goes against what we were talking about earlier in the podcast about building from the back. Let's go to Aston Villa, Manchester.
Could I just interrupt you there for a second? I'd say if you look through stats in fairly recent times,
yes,
I'd say when that started,
yes, he wasn't there.
It would be very, very hard to do what you want to do immediately.
Yes,
because players being players say, not sure, and after a certain match, he'd say, do it.
Yes,
do it. You have to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's the I'd say the longer he went on, if you look at his stats, I'd say they've conceded less goals now than they did in the last 10 matches than they conceded in these first 10 matches.
Now, to a team that had a great start to the season, Aston Villa, they really were sharp. Unai Emery, the manager there, who had been a very successful manager with Sevilla, I think he's won the Europa League 4 times. He came to England, had a nightmare at Arsenal, didn't last very long. They made a great start to the season, John. They played Manchester United at home, big game for European football next year, Champions League football for both of them. Now, Villa are 5 points ahead of United, and they could have buried United if they'd won. They would have been 8 points ahead. However, in the last minute, United got their winner close to the end. McTominay again, who came on as a sub, scored a header again. This is a player who's been playing in midfield that hasn't been starting. It looked like Ten Hag had bombed him out. In fact, I think he had bombed him out. He's got a lot of goals for Scotland, which he never had done before, and a lot of goals for Manchester United as well. And he's a good player, John. He puts his foot in. He works hard. There's no doubt about his commitment. And they got the winner in the 86th minute. There's a young fella they just signed at the start of the season, Højlund, who I like very much indeed. He didn't score in the league for ages. He's scoring now, started to score in the league. He had scored in the Europa League that they're in. He's a hell of a kid. I think this kid's a real good player. He works like a dog. He's got great positional sense, great attitude, which in that team isn't easy because you got Fernandes and one or two other chances in the team that, you know, Casemiro looks like he's gone, John. He gets a yellow card every week. He's messing. He's not really having a go at all. And he costs a lot of money, 60 million. Now, he's won 5 Champions League medals with Real Madrid. He's 30 years of age. He was a very, very, very good player. He's a Brazilian, but he's acting a maggot. But still, they got away with it. And they have a chance of getting to a top 4 spot, but they're about 6 points behind Spurs, and I don't think they're going anywhere. What do you make of what's happening at United, John?
Well, it's impossible to know, Eamon, unless you're in there, you know.
Yes.
But the good thing about football, one of the great things about football,
all comes out in the wash.
Whether it's going right or wrong, it shows itself on the pitch, Eamon. You can't hide it, you know. It's either right or it's wrong. They've made a little bit of a comeback in the last couple of matches, and you're right about how do you pronounce it?
Højlund.
He's a young fella, Eamon, but he has the attitude. That's what. Even when he wasn't scoring goals, he had it, and he was trying. And now as a striker, it's all about confidence. He's got a few goals, so he's more likely to get some more goals. But he's a trier. Yeah. He's a goaler. He's all right. And so is McTominay when he comes into the team. Let's try. I think there's a few players, who might be Casemiro, Fernandes.
Yeah.
Don't have that type of attitude, Eamon.
No.
That some of these lads have, like Tomlin and the other lad. And I think that's what's wrong with Manchester United. It's more attitude than ability. I think they've got enough players with ability to do an awful lot better than they're doing. Yeah. And they need consistency to do it now week in and week out. And we'll have to wait and see if they really do have the players to do that.
And the Rashford situation, John, is very disappointing. He's a player with real ability. He shows flashes of it now and again, but he appears to be going on the tear now and again as well. He was in Belfast for a day and fell asleep on the bed in his clothes, having had a few shots. And there's film of this kind of stuff these days. Thank God there wasn't in the old days. And he's a big disappointment, Rashford, isn't he? And wouldn't get away with it, I think, at many clubs.
Any of the great managers wouldn't have that, Eamon. Yeah. Busby wouldn't have that. No. You know, Don Revy and all these great managers did, Shankly.
Alex Ferguson, John.
You know, you can't, it just doesn't happen. No. And what was amazing was last week or the week before, after him doing what he did in Belfast, he's in the team.
Yep.
You know, and the manager said, well, inside manner or inside problem or whatever. And
it's within the club.
100,000 people, supporters all around the country, Manchester United, and not one of them would say he should be playing. And he's played him, and as you know, we scored a goal there. But that's beside the point. If you want a team, a real team, you have to have a team spirit. You have to have people doing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And it's difficult enough to win things when you have players doing that.
Yeah.
But when you don't have players doing it, I just don't get it with him. I mean, he should never have played for Manchester United again, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's made Bruno Fernandes captain. He's a curious animal, Fernandes. Even away fans boo him when he gets the ball. There's something, I mean, I know you don't like him at all, and I don't like him at all. There's something about him. One of them is diving and harassing referees. The other thing is not really having a go when the going gets tough, but he has got ability.
Oh, he's a lot of ability, Eamon. Yeah. He's got to get on with the game. He's got to, if he's captain to the team, or not even if he's not captain of the team, you go play and you play for the team. You don't play if you're in the mood. You don't play if this is happening, that happening. And like the match at Liverpool it might be a couple of years ago now, he was a total disgrace because he packed it in and started messing around and doing the thing. Like all the great players that you know and I know and have known over the years, they don't have that nonsense.
No.
They get on with the game. You mentioned Graham Souness earlier and all the great players. They get on with the game and they want to do what's best for the team to win. I think I saw Graham's in an article last week when the Manchester United player didn't come back. He was over in Dublin. He said Liverpool players wouldn't have put up with that.
No, that's right. Well, he's talking about Rashford, actually. He said he'd been kicked out.
Rashford, yeah. You know, he said it, and I know my take at Leeds.
Yeah.
If anybody was doing that, we wouldn't even be taught. Well, he wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been in the club. You're playing and you get on with the job. And Fernandes is a very talented player, Eamon.
Yeah.
But any time I see him, he's moaning at the referee. He's moaning at his own players. Yeah. He's trying to referee the game instead of getting on with it.
Yeah.
Getting on and play and do your best. Do your best for the team. That's what you have to do. And if you don't have that, you don't have a team, Eamon.
No, there'll be changes at Old Trafford at the management level, I'm sure. Well, that's all we have time for, John, today. And we're very grateful to you for joining us on the stand. As always, we're grateful to John.